the threads alive. The three-piece particularly for Cronin.
And not everybody can put it together like Mick can, that's for sure.
Opening tap is controlled to Maryland. And Jacoby Gillespie operating at the point.
This will be another one of those games for these teams where pace and tempo is so important early.
And a push on Dylan Andrews, picking up that foul. And right away, Mick Cronin's up, working our officials. Jeffrey Anderson, an outstanding Big Ten ref, along with Michael Reed and Tim Comer, the three that are on the deck tonight.
Jeffrey Anderson's worked in 7 straight Final Fours. Give you an idea of his resume and how good he is.
Tremendous career. A little ball fake and a dribble drive, Miguel. And this young man out of Angola began a foundation for his home country. He and his brother will tell you a little bit more about that later on as the Bruins try to answer with Dylan Andrews controlling things.
See, Maryland in a little bit of a zone, and already UCLA trying to figure out what it is with 3 up top and 2 down low. Really nice job to start the game at home defensively.
Gillespie with a 3-ball. 5 quick points for the Terrapins and some full court pressure coming. Those of you that are acquainted with the way the Terps love to play and Kevin Willard's approach, he changes defenses a lot. On offense, we'll run a lot of NBA stuff, but from a defensive standpoint, he'll go full court. He'll run some zone. He'll junk it up from time to time.
And he has the athletes and the intelligence out there. We'll talk about that as Derek Queen, really the foundation of what they do on both ends of the floor, but such a smart player.
Nice look, but Bilodeau is stripped. It is recovered and put in by Eric Daly Jr.
Yeah, they really need Eric Daly Jr. He's one of the most efficient players in all of college basketball. When he's on the floor, this UCLA team is basically per 100 possessions there, plus 40 points over their opponent. So he is so important.
You'll notice he's wearing that mask as a protective device for his nasal area as Reese gets that soft floater to fall. And it's 7-2. He took a glancing blow in the game with Gonzaga. No one really knew about it. He had a big day. He hit 4 threes in that game. Missed the Nebraska game, which I thought affected them. They really needed to hit threes in that game, and they struggled from downtown. But he's back for the Michigan game and now this one. And there's a foul inside against the Terrapins.
Actually, I spoke with him a little bit before. He actually got hit in the North Carolina game and really didn't do much with it.
Right.
And then after that, it was affected. But there's really the job that Bilodeau can do. When you talk about, and we'll talk about it, Mick Cronin challenging his team this week, we'll say, to put it kindly, that young man right there has the abilities to put this team on his back and do some special things. But, you know, you have to go about it the right way. And being aggressive, being assertive, on the road, being deliberate with everything you do, like you saw there with the jump up. That's kind of how you start trending in the right direction for Mick Cronin's guys.
I appreciate you cleaning that up, partner, because it was the game against North Carolina. Nobody noticed it, not even really the staff. And he had a big game against Gonzaga, even though he had the issue.
Exactly.
He had a big game and then suddenly did not play against Nebraska, and I think it was more precautionary than anything else.
And in my opinion, that's not soft.
No.
When you play with a broken face, that tells you, without a mask on, that tells you a little bit about Eric Daly Jr.
Well, the Bruins going to turn over and cash in off the inbounds. Kobe Johnson with a lay-in, and it's 7-6 Maryland. They have not missed on 3 possessions, but that turnover cut into their lead.
Pace really important. Again, Maryland wants to get up. They're trying to, you know, they're scoring. When they score over 75 points, they're undefeated this season. It's the struggles that they have when the games are slower. So you can see they're trying to speed up this pace.
That's a good find by Reese. Pulled down by Bilodeau. UCLA has a way of making you play to their tempo, no matter how they perform offensively. Tough fadeaway for Daly, but a putback by Bilodeau.
But again, you can see how Eric Daly Jr. affects the game. Even though he didn't make it, he drew 2 and 3 white jerseys that allowed Bilodeau underneath wide open.
Bruins have played a very difficult schedule. As a result, they played a lot of close games, which you would figure could help them in any close game they play in the Big Ten when on the road. Queen can't connect. There's the follow. Beautifully done by Jacoby Gillespie.
Yeah, UCLA had their struggles against Michigan because of those 2 7-footers, Golden and Wolf. Well, a couple more here in this game tonight. They play differently, but you really have to focus on pushing them out of the paint early. Coaches say, get your work done early. That means get the bigs out of the paint so they're not as comfortable.
Jay Young checks into the game. Youngster that transferred in from Grambling State. This is his 4th stop. Number 8 in white. And also for the Bruins, Sebastian Mack comes in for Dylan Andrews. Terrapins by 1. 3.5 gone by here in the opening half.
Talk about that pace. UCLA is holding teams to under 62 points a game, and that happens when they slow that pace down. But wow, travel.
Well, yeah, they were ready to light up a block, and then a quick overrule came. In fact, it was Jeffrey Anderson that had that. So it goes the other way.
And this is how you take time off the clock and you speed a team up. Give them a little bit of pressure, full court, make them think about it. They don't know if you're going to jump it or not, but you got to be alert.
And you notice that mask, it has not been a problem for him, okay? And as I mentioned, it was the nasal portion of his head that was part of the issue. But he says no problem shooting from downtown, even though he's got that headgear on. Bruins by 2. Great defensive work coming in late, and it's pulled down by Bailey. This guy, Sky Clark's on the floor. You know he's headed to the 10. He ever sees an opportunity. Ball is deflected and leads to another Bruins turnover. Rodney Rice gives it up. That was off the heel for Derek Queen.
And almost didn't see Queen running. That's one guy I would know. If I'm a point guard, every single time down the floor, I'm paying attention to where Derek Queen is. He needs to be involved.
Johnson feeds Bilodeau. Nice little teardrop in the painted area. He's got it all, this kid. 13 to 9. He's got a half dozen already.
He's talented. You see Queen really not comfortable in that perimeter. Give him a shot fake. Go by him.
Working pick and roll. Queen has it deflected by Johnson. In a lot of ways, Kobe Johnson is the quintessential backcourt player for a guy like Cronin. Gets his hand out there defensively. Rice! Oh! Rodney Rice! The Virginia Tech transfer with a little fall-away J up against the clock. There's the late pressure. Leads to a foul. Well, Kevin did not like that call. He didn't like that one at all. It happened right in front of his bench. And it goes against Rice. Timeout. Imposing will. Which one will? Stay right where you are. Fox Hoops Friday is sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Cars, homes, boats, motorcycles, RVs, and more. Yeah, the famed Charles Lefty Drizel, upon being hired at Maryland in '69, declared the Terrapins had the potential to be the UCLA of the East Coast. At that point, UCLA had won 5 of the last 6 national titles under the Wizard of Westwood. Of course, it would be Gary Williams that eventually would get that national championship in the early 2000s. So many of those guys. You know, they had a reunion here not long ago. Wilcox, Banks, and so many others that were part of that fantastic team. Gary took a lot of trips to Bentley's after that. That is the very popular night spot for all of the students at Maryland. Legendary location. Lefty Drizel passed away just a short time ago. What a wonderful and flamboyant, bigger-than-life character. Great work he would have been proud of that defensive effort. So would Gary Williams as they come away with a pilfer. Gillespie has a little stop and go. And then he ran right into his own man and turned it over. Julian Reese's hip was responsible for that one.
Reese wasn't ready to catch it, though, Tim. He was just running, almost looking like he was going for an offensive rebound. You got these lively guards from Maryland. You always have to have your hands ready.
Haley. Rodney Rice on the glass. End to end they come. And Kapari on the deck. He is like a human blur when he comes in. Rice, the iron unkind, and it's pulled down by the Terps. Cleared out of there by Reese. Kapari. He didn't waste any time putting it up, did he? And a foul spotted underneath, going after the rebound.
Well, you got to get them up. When those long rebounds come out, you saw there, it was a wide open three because now UCLA is searching for a body after losing that rebound. So it's a great shot by Kapari, even if you're just in the game, especially wide open from the top.
I wanted to mention, by the way, with Gary, because I know him so well, he doesn't sweat as much when he's sitting courtside here at Maryland now that he's not coaching. Gillespie, little teardrop in the painted area.
Yeah, Gillespie is just such a explosive guard, can shoot it, so you have to be aware that he can stop behind that three-point line. But he's got that ball on the string, getting to the rack, and here again, showing a little bit of his own. They've gotten a couple of deflections, Maryland.
Sebastian Mack. That one goes crying off the iron. Mack tried to swipe it away from Queen, but he recovered. And Kapari runs the floor and is rewarded for it.
Yeah, really heads up play. Catch it, make sure you have it, let the defense run by you and reverse it.
Another three-ball opportunity that doesn't go down for Andrews. And there's a foul committed by him. He was going to deny that layup opportunity. You miss a long shot like that, it'll trigger a fast break, and it forced him to foul.
Dylan Andrews really struggling. 4 of his last 25 threes. I mean, he's really struggling from downtown, but you got to keep shooting it. Too much.
Yeah.
And that's what happens, you know, when your coaches start to question your toughness. Sometimes you're not responding the right way. You know, shoving and holding and pushing and punching. That doesn't show that you're tough.
Right.
You know, digging in, trying to get defensive stops. That shows toughness.
Yeah. Count it, and a foul. Queen goes Euro as he's approaching the rack. And picks up the foul to go along with the basket.
This is what everyone's talking about, his versatility and really his athletic ability at, you know, some 6'10", 240, 250, moving through the defense. Just a special player, Derek Queen.
Through the years, and this goes all the way back to Lynn Bias, you know, you think about small forwards and power forwards that were outstanding at Maryland. And as a guy that loved playing close to the basket, you can appreciate the history that they have with bigs that can really run the floor. 9-0 run now for the Terrapins, and they lead by 5.
Yeah, one of my all-time favorites was Joe Smith.
Yep.
Really just...
It's exactly who I was thinking about.
Control over the game.
Yep.
Such a phenomenal player.
Walt Williams is another that comes to mind. Clark, that one goes off the rim. Tries to stay with it. Normally he drives to the basket. That is his M.O. Bilodeau has it slapped away by Kapari.
Give it up. Got to give it up.
He gave it up late.
Wow.
But the conversion was made. Rice running the floor with him. And Gillespie gets that easy win.
Yeah, that was probably a charge. Queen got away with one there, but you got to give that ball up early to your guards.
Bruins scoreless in almost the last 4 minutes. And that has keyed this 11-0 spurt. Bilodeau working against the taller Queen. has to give it up. Kobe Johnson gets the recycle. And Bilodeau, he'll pick up a lot of baskets like that. Such great hands.
At some point against that zone, though, you're going to have to find the free throw line, find the baseline with your dribble, with the pass. You know, the swinging from wing to top, in wing to top. You're not shifting the defense. You really have to get to those sweet spots.
There's a step back. Oh, yeah. I'd say that Kapari is lighting up this crowd since coming into the game, and it's 23-15. Kobe Johnson left wide open.
Hated it. Just a much better three, though, Tim. That was... the other threes, the last three have been under duress. Really good defense in transition, wide open. That's a huge shot for UCLA.
Yeah. UCLA trying to improve defensively, but Maryland getting more open looks than the Bruins at this.
Indiana takes on Iowa. Saturday at 8 Eastern on Fox Primetime Hoops.
It's really hard to coach people that are delusional. The hungry dog gets the bone. We got guys that think they're way better than they are, completely delusional about who they are. We're too soft to play hard enough. So don't tell me you want to win.
It was this kind of action in the paint that I thought really brought that out of him in the postgame. And look, we've known him for a long time, you and I. Honestly, a team's going to react one way or the other. They're either going to really give maximum effort tonight on the defensive end, or they could shut down. But, you know, he's true to his word. He's going to get the most out of them, and he'll push buttons, any buttons he wants, to try to get that and live with it. A lot of criticism of that, as you can well imagine, in today's environment. But I'll give this to Mick Cronin. He's not changed a lick in the time that I've known him.
I just think it's, you know, it's blown out of proportion. Those words happen every single day in practice, at least.
Yeah.
The experience that I had every single day, and it's not a matter of you. It is a matter of you understanding who you are, looking in the mirror as players. But the soft part, it's not, hey, you get pushed, you fall down, you cry. That's not the soft. It's really having accountability for one another and winning. Look, you're UCLA.
Right.
Those four letters mean more than most in college basketball. You got to play like it every night.
Good backdoor cut. Well done by Trent Perry. Just into the game. This is a young man out of West Covina, California, that has a tremendous future. He was the Gatorade California Player of the Year. He's a star of the future for this team. Maryland leads it by 3.
Really nice job defensively stretching Maryland out. Got to finish it off here.
Miguel is up against the clock. He doesn't mind, though. That one comes off a little dead, and it's taken out of there by Perry.
Probably their best defensive stance tonight, UCLA. Forcing a bad shot and then coming down with that rebound.
Nice matchup here against Julian Reese. Bilodeau, so very versatile. And sometimes the iron knows how good that shooter is.
A young fella out of Kamayakan, Washington. Old stomping grounds up there, Washington State. Really good player, comes from an athletic background. Dad played NHL, drafted by the NHL. Mom played in the WNBA. Bilodeau, he's a special player. Oh, bad pass, but he got held.
Well, that team up in your area, that was a minor league program, right?
Yeah.
In hockey.
Yeah, the Seattle Thunderbirds.
Affiliated with the Canadiens, I think.
Since we started Fetch,
Ball is powered by Ram Trucks, built to serve, as I am built to serve you. So take over.
Well, we talked about the pace of this game and really who was going to step up, and it's just what we thought. Listen, one thing about Mick Cronin, when he sends a message, it gets through, it's heard, and I think Tyler Bilodeau, again, coming from an athletic background, 2 parents played at the highest level, he's stepping up so far for this UCLA team. Look, that's not always easy when you're the new guy, but You got to understand the stage that you're on and the opportunity that you have. And so far in this game tonight, Tyler Bilodeau has really given his team and his coaches, in particular Mick Cronin, exactly what they were looking for after their last two outings.
You touched on the family tree, his dad Brent and the mom Cass, who spent time in the WNBA. You know, a lot of times when you meet the parents and they're both athletic parents, it's interesting to see personality-wise and then just in terms of the performance level, what was inherited. In his case, it's the DNA on both sides, no doubt about that. Clark, give it up. Perry from downtown.
Get another shot under duress from deep.
Very active on the offensive glass. Eric Daly Jr. gets the recycle. Well, these lazy skip passes are a problem. And Mick Cronin very upset with that incompleted pass.
Well, Sky Clark has to go meet the ball. When you see Daly in trouble, you got to go meet the ball. He shouldn't have to throw a cross-court pass when you're in half-court offense.
Well, one thing Mick won't like is right now, Maryland is 53% in the paint. 14 points so far for them have come in the painted area. And here's Reese with a post-up. Splits the double and is fouled.
Yeah, again, Scott Clark has to understand when you double, the ball is going away. Take a look. Now he steps away. You don't want to change your angle. Your shoulders can't now face the baseline. They have to continue as a defender to face the sideline. Shouldn't be able to step through like that. Just those little things, those little fundamentals when you're on the road, they can come back to bite you. You go down to double, you gotta be decisive in how you double.
That's the second foul on Clark, so he'll probably spend the remainder of the first half on the bench as they get Sebastian Mack back out there. And Rodney Rice also leaves the game in favor of Selton Miguel. And here comes that full court 2-2-1 token pressure. Double team and trap.
Yeah, you got to be careful driving to that sideline and picking your dribble up. Oh, that's a push.
Yeah, coming in from the backside. Bilodeau.
Miguel.
And Miguel. Both of them were in there. I'm curious as to who got it. It was Miguel, his second. So that's two Bruins now with two fouls. And the Bruins have one, and Maryland trying to counter here. And it's going to be out of bounds.
Yeah, you're right, Tim. It's the equalizer. Matt goes to the bench with two fouls, and now Selton Miguel from Maryland goes to the bench, who got up to a pretty good start. Missed his next couple after that, but they just need the depth. This is a deep Maryland team. It's a part of what makes them really good.
And another turnover. That's 7 now committed by UCLA. So the Terrapins changing defenses and the pressure that's been applied has been problematic.
I like the way that not only Kevin Willard, he mixes things up defensively, but how his players respond. You know, they don't get confused out there. They know exactly what the game plan is. Listen, they're really good at home. They're 9-1 in this building this year, so you know defensively has to be in check.
Gillespie, nylon. And it's 28-22, Terrapins. Gillespie has 10, first player in double figures for Maryland.
Well, they've already made 3 threes. That's better than their outing against Washington. And they were 2 of 11. That was the worst shooting night on the road, obviously, on the other side of the country. Those are hard games to play.
Look at that on-ball pressure. It is intense. Forcing a tough shot against the clock. And a shot clock violation. And this crowd, they're rabid, but they're also a sophisticated basketball-friendly partisan crowd.
Well, this is a Maryland team. Again, they score a lot of points, but they're holding teams to 31% from three, and you see why. The ball pressure, they're in passing lanes, they're making you uncomfortable, and most importantly, they're not fouling late in that shot clock. We've seen that so many times. The teams that are struggle with a little bit of discipline defensively, they bail you out by fouling in silly ways late clock, not Maryland.
Well, that was not a live ball turnover, but still, they've had twice as many as UCLA. Well, that is as easy a shot as you'll see Reese miss. Gillespie, too strong. And they got away with a push there.
And that's one that I'd like to see Derek Queen catch and shoot a little floater from the baseline. And instead of dribbling along and trying to be a facilitator, I want to see him shoot that little floater.
Oh, how about that? Pilfer from Gillespie. And the missed subtle attempt at a slam. And you'll hear about that tomorrow as it leads to a turnover. He's smiling about it now, but he'll remember this overnight. Rest assured.
Yeah, that's almost like the ball slipped out of his hand. He wasn't sure what he wanted to do. Happens to the best of us.
Let's just say it was less than emphatic, and it cost him.
It was really, I mean, technically it was an iron on kind, though.
Yeah.
Technically.
Yeah. I don't like using that line on layups or dunks.
I'm still learning. We haven't worked a lot together, so I'm still learning.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. Gillespie again. Off the heel with a quickness to the loose balls. And you're seeing that for Maryland right now. Their perimeter, Jay Young, much travel player. This is his fourth stop. Began at Baton Rouge Community College. Watch him race down this loose ball.
Yeah, that's just, look, those hustle plays, those extra effort plays you tend to find when you lose 2 in a row. Those are some of the things that you're lacking. But also when you're at home, the crowd's behind you, and still no students really in the building for another 2 weeks when they come back to campus. This crowd is still into it. They get you going. This is one of the better buildings in all of the land. It's a great atmosphere.
It is. It is. And this young man right here, I mentioned, he started at Baton Rouge Community College. Then he was off to UCF, Memphis, and now here. And he's one of those assistant coaches for Kevin that got him to Maryland.
Wow.
That meant a lot.
You know, Tim, Maryland's showing us a little bit of everything. Defense, missed dunks, air balls from the free throw line. Yep. They're showing us everything in one half of basketball.
And the Bruins are trying to stave off 4 straight turnovers on 4 straight trips. This time down the floor. Stefanovic in the game for the first time. He got a lot of playing time at Nebraska last week. That'll be a hand check that goes against Maryland. Gapari will pick it up.
That's a good call. I mean, you're riding a guy with your left hand. He's dribbling middle. That's a good call. I'd almost like to, you know, defensively back off. If you're Maryland, back off for Bilodeau. You know, bait him into shooting that. And look, these defenders, Gapari, obviously Reese, they're long enough to contest late. I just think when you got a guy who's got it going, you got to change up how you defend him. It's not just trying to beat him to a spot, Tim. It's fake at him, get back, swipe at the ball, get back. He's right now, Tyler Bilodeau is really, really comfortable. And the one really keeping UCLA in this game.
By the way, William Kyle has come into the game, the junior out of Nebraska, South Dakota State transfer. This is a young man they're very high on. Believe that he can help them tremendously. Getting some playing time, but he hasn't played a lot of late. Bilodeau has 12. The rest of the Bruins as a team with a dozen. So they need a second and third option to rise up.
Man, they haven't scored a field goal in almost 4 minutes. UCLA. Good credit Maryland's defense, but Maryland's struggling as well. They won their last 8. The game's hit a little roadblock here.
Harris Smith in traffic. Yeah, too much dribbling that time.
That's not how you started the game. You know, either team, I think it's turned into now a little more one-on-one basketball. Catch it on the wing, jab, jab. That ball's got to move. It's got to pop. Two really good defensive teams here. And the reason they're good is because they can guard the ball individually. Even good teams struggle when you move that ball. It's got to pop. Change sides of the floor.
Only 4 assists for Maryland in this game. Bilodeau, that's right where he likes it. This time he goes off the heel. And the rebound cleared to Perry, and he takes it right to the rack.
Yeah, Kapari got hit in the face with, I think that was Perry's head. I mean, that's one way to use your noggin.
Well, it might have been cushioned a little bit.
Definitely, with that beautiful head of hair. I'm jealous.
Nice little afro. That's a throwback to yesteryear. Gillespie. Boy, Jacoby is feeling it. And by the way, you can't play at Belmont without being able to knock down shots. And he's a transfer from that wonderful school in Nashville, Tennessee. Stefanovic, too strong off the feed from Bilodeau. Again, loose ball, and it's run down by Kapari. Count it, and a foul.
Now you talk about, I mean, this is a gazelle running the floor. Long stride, little and one. Terrapins in control.
If you have advanced prostate cancer, you know all about.
Back to College Park. Maryland up 8 on UCLA. And a huge part of it is because of this young man right here, Jacoby Gillespie. He's got 13 points already, but playing free. We're going to give him a pass for the missed dunk. That's okay because he's knocking down some shots. He's taking care of the ball, only one turnover. I thought it was interesting. At this stage of the game, between Rice, Miguel, Gillespie, they have made 94 threes on the season. Compared to UCLA's entire squad, they've made 105. So it shows you where a lot of that production comes from for Kevin Willard's crew. It comes from the perimeter, and then they balance it with their two bigs down low, Reese and Queen. And look, we haven't really seen much of Queen. He's got 3 points. You know, Reese has 6, but it's really come from their guard play.
And enter Kapari, who has been a major factor.
Yeah.
Kapari has had Maryland +9 when he's been on the deck. So this is another, tall kid, 6'9". Another transferred after being at UMass and Georgia Tech from Wellington, New Zealand. This is a kid that can get to the ball in a hurry in the open floor.
I like that. He's a tall kid. That helps him, when you're tall in this game.
It does.
Helps being a tall kid.
It also helps for broadcasters to be loud when they're kids.
And when they're 68 years old as well. Finding out.
Yes, Bilodeau has it rejected inside. Did we get a quick tee? Did we look like we got the foul is spotted? I'm not sure. Yeah, there was a technical. And Jeff Anderson, he had it. Kapari got the technical.
Yeah, a little taunting there. Look, you've already embarrassed your opponent by blocking their shot. I mean, you don't really need to do anymore. No, the crowd doesn't like it. But you can't yell at a guy when he's down on the ground. I understand that part of it, the sportsmanship. I mean, there's really nothing more embarrassing than what he just did blocking a shot. You don't have to pile on as the player's on the floor.
Oh, and look at that iron kind for Stefanovic. You'll take that. You hit a moment when you're struggling, and UCLA was. They come away with points. After, really, that could have led to a quick turnover and points on the other end. That could be a 4 or 5 point swing, getting that foul and the technical to go with it. That's 2 on Kapari.
You know what? We blame, sometimes they blame the broadcasters for missed free throws. I'm going to blame you for Kapari getting that technical. You just praised him, and then you got to be smarter, though. There you go.
Everything but the finish for Queen in traffic.
I'm not sure how Derek Queen.
Oh, wait a minute. They're going to get Stefanovic that time as he was carrying the ball when he got the pressure.
Yeah,
looked like a discard also. He's fortunate that he didn't get a foul to go with it.
Well, I'll tell you what, good thing this wasn't a little higher. Look at Derek Queen, never keeps that mouth guard in his mouth. He's lucky. That mouth guard is outside of his mouth the entire game. It's defeating the purpose of having a mouth guard.
Looked like Buster Douglas with Tyson in the ring.
You got to keep that thing in your mouth, young fella. He's got braces. He's trying to get those teeth together.
You can hurt somebody with that.
Yeah, man.
Gillespie, a floater. And one.
How about Jacoby Gillespie? Really doing a nice job. Struggled against Oregon. He had 1 point versus UW. I'm sorry. And even against Oregon at 16, he just wasn't himself on either end of the floor. I mean, two of his worst games have happened on the road against Washington and Oregon. This is how you respond being back at home. 15 points right now.
And the Bruins need to answer here before the break, down by 9. Sunday on Fox, after a historic season, Saquon Barkley and the Eagles begin their playoff run against Jordan Love and the Packers. An NFL wild card matchup, wild card weekend, Sunday at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on Fox.
Gillespie fouled out in that game also, Tim, against University of Washington, which you don't see your guards. They're happening to your point guards a lot. But he has really responded. And I thought it was a lively shoot-around today. I love the energy that Maryland had. You know, UCLA's was a little quieter, and that's what you get. I've been in those situations where your coach kind of challenges you in the media, and really you don't. He asks you a question. It's probably probably not a question he needs to answer. Maybe just a hypothetical, but you don't know whether you should answer that or not. I feel like whatever answer you give him is going to be the wrong one. But it was a little quieter. UCLA shoot around, but they're right there. They just have to get stops. They're allowing Maryland to shoot 50%.
Spoken by an analyst that had his ears pinched by Jim Calhoun when he was in college. And this rebound off the deck by Daly. And a 3-ball from Perry. Well, that was needed. They needed that basket in the worst way.
Yeah, but it's a better shot. You know, they're wide open threes they've been knocking down. It's the ones that are under duress.
Somewhere Jim Calhoun is listening and going, I did. His ears were bleeding a few times with me.
Taught me everything I know.
Queen gets that one to fall. You're right about that mouthpiece. That thing is moving. It's like one of your cigars post-game. Stefanovic.
Look at that ball movement. I mean, that's how they should play. I mean, it's enough of the one-on-one. Swing that ball.
Yep.
You gotta make the defense move a little bit.
Well, after the first double-digit lead, UCLA's answered. And that time, Queen was caught with his chicken wing out when he was challenged by Johnson. And he induced that player control foul.
Look at the passing here, Timmy. This is what we're talking about. 7 assists on 12 made field goals. And this is probably one of the better ones. When they're wide open, they can knock down those threes. It's just they're putting themselves in tough spots trying to do too much individually.
Lazar Stefanovic is one of those guys that if he can get some good looks, he can have a quiet big night for you. And now that he's hit one from the wing, you can bet he'll start searching for some of those shots. It's up to the Bruins to find him. And Johnson just did. That time, it goes crying off the front iron. He certainly wanted that shot.
It was a good set, though. It was great movement. Ball switches sides of the floor. Another open three.
Rice threw that one behind Harris Smith, leads to a turnover.
Harris Smith has got to catch it first, though, Tim. I don't think it was the pass. I think it was you got to catch it with 2 and then make your move.
So they don't have back shoulder throws in basketball.
No, they don't. Or at least they do. They don't go well.
Great work by Reese. Almost got a takeaway out of it.
The deflections. I'm so impressed by just the attention to detail that Maryland has showed in this first half defensively. deflections, making it so uncomfortable for the Bruins.
Sense of urgency tonight for a team that needs a big win. Bilodeau, underheat, knocks it down right before the halftime buzzer. And after trailing by double digits, just 9, and they had won 10 of 11, as we mentioned before the loss at Nebraska, and then the painful defeat at home at Pauley against Michigan. This is a guy who needs to get on track. And he's struggling from downtown. Eric Daly, who had 4 big threes in that game against the Zags.
Contested. And I know people are going to say, well, you got to make contested shots, but not when you're shooting. It's hard to make contested shots when almost every shot you've taken has a hand in your face.
Miguel with a nice find.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful dime that he dropped off. And Rodney Rice knew exactly what to do with it. Maryland 5 of 10 from downtown, and the lead is 7. And the Bruins have got to find somebody to warm up from beyond the arc. And here's a mix-up. A little move that was a Ying and a pass from Bilodeau that was a Yang, and it's a dead ball turnover.
That's 12 and counting. I mean, this just, we've seen that a couple of times. Just miscommunication. Trying to be too quick.
Gillespie put on a show in that first half with 16 to lead all scorers for the Terrapins. Rice, beautiful roll to the hoop. Magnificent pass to Julian Reese. And the Baltimore native knocks it down.
Yeah, but even there, Tim, you want to see better ball pressure. That would alleviate an easy pass, you know, from the elbow to a big. Take a look.
And Gillespie forces another turnover with that deflection.
Yeah, they're doing a nice job. They're really challenging UCLA's ball handlers. But here, you got to catch up. Communication. Barry's pointing at Bilodeau. Bilodeau's late, and when you're late, now you're late on the switch. You're late on the recover down low to the big.
Gillespie is responsible for 3 steals in this game. So his defense has been as on target as his offense. Miguel lost it on the way up. Kobe Johnson. Well, that's a shot clock violation. And that lead that was 4 is back up to 9. And we're not quite 2 minutes deep here in the second half. You can just see the sense of urgency that Maryland has. And we can talk about UCLA needing a win after 2 losses.
Yeah.
For the home team, I think it's more desperate. The situation they face, at least for the moment, would appear more desperate than UCLA. And that'll be an and 1. And when you're not making shots from deep, do the smart thing and go inside, and that was a nice cut by Daly.
Yeah, it's an easy game. Good pass, good delivery, and a nice hesitation. You know you got 2 bigs down there. Someone's going to go for the head fake. Really smart play by Eric Daly Jr.
Averaging 14.5 per game, second only to Bilodeau in scoring.
Yeah, it's a Maryland team that they're in desperate need of a ranked, beating a ranked team, and for UCLA, it's a needed win for the kids, is what they say. They do it for the kids, just for their mentality and their confidence mentally after their coach called them out.
As our Mike DeCourcy would say, as you see that one drop through by Derek Queen, as he would say, you got a lot of opportunities at quad 1 wins when you're playing in the Big Ten this early in January. 13 teams at the beginning of the week from the Big Ten were in the top 50 in the net.
And that's more than a lot. That's more than
anybody but the SEC.
It's more than conferences have total teams.
Indeed. Yep. Loose ball opportunity, and again Maryland in a scramble comes away with it. And there's a reach-in foul. Kobe Johnson, I think. Perhaps not. Let's see. It goes against Daly. And that's just the first team foul. of this half.
So, Tim, 14 turnovers. This is the time Mick Cronin is expecting someone in blue to grab a teammate or two and say, let's go, guys.
Yeah, and there's a nice turnover created by Perry. Clark to pull up.
I know Sky loves those mid-range pull-ups. I would love it if he pulled up from 3 if he's not going all the way, you know.
First bucket for him. He got 2 quick fouls in the first half. Oh, Reese, he created the space by laying the body on Daly. 49-41. Here's the guy I think they'd love to see take more shots. Kobe Johnson. You just get the feeling watching him that there's more to his game than UCLA has been able to show in recent weeks.
Well, the physicality is there. You know what Maryland's going to do. This is Juju Reese. That's a grown-up move right there by the big fella. Terrapins in control.
What? Big Ten basketball is powered by Ram trucks, built to serve. One of the tremendous moments of pageantry in intercollegiate athletics coming out of the first television timeout. Whenever you're at Maryland, from Cole Fieldhouse to the Xfinity Center, they've always done that. Years ago, I think Scott Van Pelt was behind the flag on the left. Yeah, it's just a great environment, isn't it? And we had a wonderful time chatting with Gary Williams at halftime.
Legend.
Telling all kinds of stories. Jim Calhoun's ears should be bleeding after that. He's one of those coaches I've actually played some golf with. And
Gary told me, he said, yeah, when we played you in the NCAA tournament, scouting report was you couldn't shoot. You gave us 27. He's got a good memory.
He sure does. So do you. They don't call you. They don't call you box score Marshall for nothing. Great defensive work by Maryland there. 8 steals, 4 by Gillespie. That's a season high for him. And Perry runs down that loose ball. Clark motors it up. He plays the game like this. Turned it over.
Yeah, he's got to go straight. You know, as soon as you catch that, you got to put your head down. I know he saw Kapare in there, but that's when you lead with your body. You can't stop short. The last thing you want to do is jump stop and head fake or shot fake from the middle of the paint with length in there.
15 field goals, 15 turnovers for UCLA. There's a dubious stat, to say the least. But they're still in it. 49-41. You watch the game and you figure Maryland ought to be up by more. So the Bruins just hanging in there and waiting for a spurt themselves and for their defense to carry them.
There you go.
And Johnson will get to the line.
Got another chance at it. That's how you attack. You might not make the basket, but you're getting fouled. This is, talk about being assertive on the road. If you're not going to score, at least give yourself a chance to get to the foul line. Now Kobe's going to shoot 2. 5 points. He hasn't missed the field goal, but he's only taken 2.
Today at the shoot-around, when we were on hand, Kevin spent a lot of time telling these guys. I mean, he's been around for a long time, too. His dad, Ralph Willard, who coached him when he was at Pitt, transferred over when Ralph took the job from Western Kentucky. He said, Kobe Johnson can light you up now. You better get out on him. And he has served notice in flashes that he's got tremendous game. 49-43, Terps by 6. And a reach-in foul. That's Clark again. That'll be his 3rd. You know, so much of his game is about driving to the basket and get an early foul difficulty, it kind of takes his game away from him. Stays out there with the three. Jacoby did not hit that one, but a foul is spotted from beyond the arc. Yeah.
A little bit of a late call there too, Tim.
Cronin wants an explanation on it too.
That's a tough one there. I mean, you're jumping towards the shooter as the shooter's jumping towards you.
Not the kind of foul that you're accustomed to seeing Bilodeau commit. He's a pretty smart player.
Oh, wow. I think there was a push somewhere else. Tim, that wasn't on the...
Oh, yeah, that is a shot. I thought that was beyond the arc.
Yeah.
And I think Nick was questioning that, and perhaps he got what he wanted upon that. One official had an off-ball foul at the very time that the three-point shot was taking place, and he got the overrule. So I think Cronin did a nice job of bench coaching there to induce the out-of-bounds. Oh, count it! Off the window! Reese with a little banker, and it's 51-43. He's got a dozen.
Well, Juju Reese, just one of those guys that calms everything down. He's got such a smooth game with that NBA body, but that's just lack of communication again. You know, you got to close out, you got to point and talk.
Daly got the foul. That is his third. So he and Clark are out there with three. And the 7'3" Spaniard, Adai Mara, has checked into the game for the first time. Number 15 in the blue of UCLA. Oh, another deflection and one more turnover for the Bruins.
That's a tough angle right there on that pick and slip. There's too much action going on inside.
Crossover by Jacoby. And a reach in. Well, they're going to get a walk prior to the foul. They did walk, and it'll go the other way.
Yeah, that was one of the few sets for Maryland where it was just so jammed up. There was really no place to go. Their spacing has been really nice tonight in terms of allowing guys to make moves and passing and cutting and showing up when guys drive. That wasn't one of the better possessions offensively for Maryland.
Queen gets back on the deck for Maryland. UCLA with some wholesale changes as well. Stefanovic has returned to the game, as has Dylan Andrews. Haven't seen his best of late. He struggled against Michigan, only 1 of 7 from the floor in that game. How long do you keep Bilodeau out? Becomes the question with this lineup on the floor for UCLA.
Bilodeau's not in really any foul trouble.
No, he's not.
Played 24 minutes. I would assume the next time he checks in, he won't come out.
And a foul on that sprint out.
I mean, it's happened so many times. That is turnover number 17. And Maryland does a wonderful job at forcing those turnovers. About 15, but creating that offense with their defense is really what you want. It's mindless basketball at home. Get out, run, create some good things with your defense.
You know, you look over at the UCLA bench and the conversations with the assistant coaches, and Bilodeau sort of lends itself, I think, to, you know, that toughness question in the paint. And perhaps that plays a role in the decision by Mick to get him on the bench, even though he's saddled with a foul, but he's not in foul trouble. But he sits for the moment as Maryland has asserted itself and leads by 10 again.
I think you give him a nice little breather, and then maybe you get into that next time out, and then he's in for the rest of the game. You're going to need him.
That's a big-time pull-up for Dylan Andrews. They're going to need more of that from him. His first basket, mark it down, comes 7 minutes deep into the second half of this game.
And in all fairness, he was dealing with some foul troubles with 2 in the first half.
Stefanovic with the rebound, and he threw that one up. Gillespie did from the parking lot.
Yeah, I think those shots are what's keeping UCLA, you know, in this game. You don't need that deep 3 at that point. Continue to maneuver, to prod. You know the officials really aren't blowing their whistles, so get them back involved in the game. Get downhill, get that ball in the paint. They've done a nice job of scoring in the paint with 28 of their 53 inside.
Well, after a tremendous first half, and you see that bucket by Dylan Andrews. Gillespie had 16 in the first half. He's not scored here in the second, and it was that judgment call he made that allowed the Bruins to cut into that lead and make it a 6-point game.
It's a 5-point swing, Tim.
It is.
The 3, now they come down and knock down a jump shot.
LaShawn Harris-Smith is on the floor for Maryland, giving it up here to Miguel. Oh, he wanted to shoot it. Johnson gets the rebound. Andrews operating in the backcourt with Stefanovic, Johnson, Mata, and Sebastian Mack, the 5 on the floor for UCLA. That one was knocked away by Maryland. 14 on the shot clock when we come back. Timeout in College Park. Bruins trail by 6.
Don't sweat the technique.
He's been through a lot.
Look at that.
Coming into tonight's game, we both felt like, you know, even at the shoot-around and afterwards, how this team, they got a lot of friends. Not all of them are from the Southland area of California, but they've got a lot of friends, maybe some family members impacted. And when we were talking to Mick prior to the game, he touched on, he lives in Encino on the other side of the mountain. He's got friends, close friends, who've lost everything. And he showed us an app that's become the most popular app in Southern California since these devastating fires. It's a fire watch app. They kind of update you on how things are in different sections of the Southland. Thoughts and prayers are with all that have been impacted. Bailey on the loose ball finds Kobe Johnson, and again unable to knock down an open shot.
Yeah, Mara needs to be aggressive. He catches it and immediately puts it on the ground. You're the longest human being on the floor. You got to go straight back up with that. Stay aggressive while you're in there. You get an opportunity. Mick Cronin wants to see you be aggressive.
And by the way, he's got a nice sweeping sort of sky hook that he can utilize. You're right, his instinct was to give the ball up in a hurry. Up against the clock now, Miguel. And Mata goes over the back of Reese. Ill-timed foul there.
And it happens with a lot of young players who have always been taller than everyone. They can just reach over the top, but you still have to box out when you're in there, especially against a guy like Julian Reese.
Well, as Mata goes to the bench, Bilodeau returns to the game. A quick attaboy and a pat on the back from his head coach. Reese, speaking of sweeping left-hand leaners in the lane, does not get it to fall. You know, they haven't looked good necessarily, but the Bruins keep hanging around.
Yeah.
And here's another foul.
I like that. Get Tyler Bilodeau immediately involved as he gets back on the floor.
Reese gets the foul, his second. That's 3 on Juju Reese, and the 15th foul against Maryland. 16 fouls for UCLA. Got crossed up on that inbounds, but Daly runs it down as Maryland was in the zone on the out-of-bounds throw-in.
I mean, Mick Cronin is actually calling plays in the middle of it. This is why they couldn't get that play off. Guys don't know what they're running. He's trying to get Bilodeau on a high screen, and Mick Cronin, again, he's like, I'm the most energetic guy out here, even in the games. You got to know what you're running. Look, I'm all about, you know, respecting your players and in giving them power and confidence. But Mick Cronin's right. You gotta, as players, you gotta look in the mirror and understand who you really are. Knowing your plays is the first part, and then playing hard. I mean, this is just, they're all lot of sorts, and I always talk. It's hard to play great, but it's easy to play hard. And when your coach says, "I need you to play hard," it's the easiest thing to do. But again, here we go with the unsure. You can tell the players are just not playing with confidence. 18 turnovers for a UCLA team that usually takes really good care of the basketball.
Oh, and they're getting a break, too, from Maryland. They've only made one field goal in the last 6 minutes. And this time, Queen is fouled. I mean, think about it. They've had some unforced errors and turnovers that have looked really sloppy, and yet we're looking up and you see it's a 2-possession game.
Well, that's what I was going to say earlier. There's always a grace note to every story, and that might be it for UCLA. You're still in this game. You just have to dig down, find that confidence. But this is a team that they average 9 turnovers. I mean, they're 9th in conference in turnovers a game at about 11. And this is, they take care of the ball.
Well, and they normally control tempo, too.
Yeah.
And tonight, Maryland has sort of forced things on them. They just haven't converted in pockets of the game and gone scoreless themselves. That ends a drought just at the free throw line, but they're still 6+ minutes without a field goal. And the lead is 7, 54-47.
I would say, though, that at this rate, this pace favors UCLA.
It does, because of the sloppy Maryland play on the offensive end. I would agree. And a lot of it unforced. So just turn that into a harder play.
I agree, Tim. Just go up with your right hand.
Queen loves to run that pick and roll or pick and pop. And Gillespie's been a bit out of sorts here in the second half on this end. 16 points in the first, nothing in the second. Oh, he had an opportunity on the ball fake. Now he throws a poor pass. Bilodeau clears. I mean, the chance is there for UCLA.
Yeah.
Andrews and Gillespie to foul.
Terrapins foul. Gillespie, his second personal, 6th team foul.
It's a long season, but these players are living in the moment. And Maryland's well aware that they are a 1-3 in the Big Ten, and they need what would be considered a signature victory, a quad 1 win. This could be that for them against a noteworthy team that's played a lot of big games on large stages this year. And the Bruins are looking to get off the schneid and satisfy their coach. Perry in traffic. Just forced that one up. Leads to yet another turnover.
I think Mick Cronin thought that was deflected.
Yeah. I think he was right, and he's got to get an overrule. He went right to Jeff Anderson, and I think he's going to get the overrule. Yep, he did. And he was right.
He was right. That was a blocked shot. It was definitely deflected.
And you see, that's something that the coach does that ought to stimulate his players.
Right.
You know, you're fighting for your guys.
Yeah.
And you notice how quickly he went to Jeff Anderson?
Yeah, the crowd's actually seeing it right now.
Yeah.
And
they believe that the fingertips actually went off the shooter. But Cronin worked it.
He did.
And he got it. Bilodeau. High. Stefanovic comes down with a rebound, but it's run down by Miguel.
That's a really nice job by Miguel. Cut off the defender trying to stop you. Make him run into your back.
Timeout. Nick's upset because he thought there was a discard that was uncalled. And he may have a point there, too. Tomorrow night on Fox Prime Time Hoops. It's a battle of the Big Ten, Indiana and Iowa at 8 o'clock Eastern, only on Fox. By the way, that's part of a triple hitter we have. We get underway with Creighton and Butler, and then you and I, partner, are going to venture over to D.C. for an upstart Georgetown team of Ed Cooley's against UConn, coming off that difficult road loss.
And still without Liam McNeely.
Yeah, and by the way,
without Liam McNeely, that UConn team.
I thought what Danny Hurley said, if you didn't see it, it made me laugh. He said after the game, Carabin missed those 2 free throws. He said, look, you know what? At some point, highs and lows of life, sometimes you're going to take a lot of blank. So when you're taking a lot of blank, just go back to your dorm when we get to stores, take out those 2 championship rings, have some fun with them.
Yeah.
Great attitude to have.
It is. Sometimes you're the pigeon, sometimes you're the statue.
Insert expletive when needed. See if Daly can work a little clear out here, mano a mano. He gives it up. Johnson with the dump down to Bilodeau, and it's going straight up.
That's his first bucket in the second half. He had 14 in the first, and
they had gone with no field goals in the last 4 minutes before that bucket. They were 0 for 5 with 2 turnovers before Bilodeau launched that one. 7-point lead for Maryland. Oh, what a nice move. The quickness of Selton McGale, the AAC 6th man of the year and most improved player in South Florida after spending time at K-State. Bilodeau goes up strong again.
Yeah, big time. He's really got to go to work. We talked about it, Tim. This pace right now favors UCLA. I mean, obviously, again, they're confident and comfortable when it's a low-scoring game.
Rejected by Gupara. When he's coming to the floor, Tafara Papari has been a lightning rod for the Terrapins. It's amazing how Gillespie's offense has been shut down in the second.
I don't want to make it sound like UCLA doesn't score points. They score 76 a game, but I just think they like that half-court situation maybe a little bit better than Maryland, excuse me.
Well, Gillespie dropped that one off, but Reese seems surprised by it. I mean, that was a perfect dime that was left on the floor, a little bit like the lingerie, as Raph might say.
A little bit like the tip you leave that I have to pay for. You leave it right on the...
There you go again. You're the alligator arms here. Hot dog as a player.
Of course.
Okay, well, this guy is dressed like and says a hot dog is really a sandwich. That's what's underneath that. So,
I mean, first of all, he's too old to be wearing that outfit. That's the first thing that I see.
I believe he works for the school because he's got one of those guns that shoots some T-shirts up to the crowd.
He's too old to be working for the school, too. A little Rodney Dangerfield action.
I gather you don't have school. I gather you don't have any friends that are civil service people, huh?
I mean, that back-to-school situation with Rodney Dangerfield. Never too late.
I'm from Louisiana. I've been called a corn dog from time to time. We specialize in those during the state fairs and whatnot.
I don't think he was talking about the food from your area when they call you that, Tim.
Really?
Just going to go out on a limb.
Well, Maryland has created steals and turned them into points. They lead by 7, but to your point, Donnie, UCLA has been sloppy, but they've gotten the tempo where they want it, and Bilodeau looks to be back on his game.
To have 19 turnovers on the road, 6.5 to play, and you're only down 7?
Right.
I mean,
and here's another turnover.
It's not ideal, but there are opportunities here for the Bruins. And for Maryland, I think they are one big bucket away from making a little run here. The crowd is just laying in wait.
Yep.
Just waiting for their guys to make a big play. The one guy who has stood out, and you know, you get into certain situations, got a couple of fouls, but Jacoby Gillespie has 0 points this half. I mean, he had 16 at half, Tim. He's got 3 turnovers this half alone, so he's really got to get them going this last 6 minutes or so if they want to win this game.
Well, that was going to be an oop, but smart, really, when you think about it. Reese knew that he could not go straight up with it, and rather than looking for that dynamic highlight play, he waited and went reversal to get the deuce.
And the all-everything Garrett Queen, too. He's got 8 points. He's really been non-existent in this game.
Bilodeau needs a little help baseline, and he's rejected by Reese.
How about that hustle?
Oh, that's tremendous hustle.
I mean, this is what your upperclassman gives you. Really nice job standing up. That's that length. Stays with it and then throws it off of Bilodeau.
Yeah, and you know, he needed help. He needed some of his teammates.
Yeah, cut.
Come to him, cut. He's a good passer. Yeah, he was looking for someone to give it up to, and then just decided, okay, I've got to throw the ball up there, and Reese knew that. And Juju had some jumps and hops. The Bruins are teetering now. Maryland up by 9. Big bucket here, and look out. And again, a turnover.
Triple team down there. Their Queen's got to know it's coming. Nice job, UCLA.
That was an overplay, and then a turnover to go along with that. And that's 17 fouls now for Maryland.
Look, it's a bad pass. It's a bad angle. He wasn't completely wide open, so really, they're really fortunate. Maryland bailed him out.
That's the third foul on Gillespie. Loose ball taken down by the Bruins, but then lost to Maryland again. That's a technical. He threw him out. Jeff Anderson just threw out the coach. Mick had had enough. I think it's one of those that over time you just get frustrated. Even after he begged for that overrule, got it, he felt in the very next play that a discard went uncalled. And so you add all of this up and his frustration coming in.
Take a look, Tim, top of your screen.
Yep.
And Mick Cronin has been working Jeffrey Anderson, but Jeffrey Anderson, again, we talked about it. He's a veteran official.
Yep.
He's worked 7 straight Final Fours. He's seen it all. Not going to take that. And you're talking about a guy, Jeff Anderson, who he will communicate with you. He'll let you he'll let you show your personality, but there had to be something pretty rough said in there for Jeffrey Anderson to throw Mick Cronin out. And probably a message Mick Cronin sending to his team as well. And the question becomes, how will you respond if you are a UCLA Bruin? Still with 5 minutes to play here. Well, we talked about it. That's maybe the big play that Maryland needed to pull away.
Yeah. I mean, as I mentioned prior to the Maryland turnover, Bruins were teetering that the game could get away from them. And now Darren Savino is going to assume the role of head coach among the assistants. Rod Palmer, Brendan Taylor among that group. And here comes what could be a knockout punch as Julian Reese extends this lead to 15.
And it went from 7 to 15 in a hurry.
Sure did. Yep. And a wing jumper that finally falls for Sebastian Mack. He'd only been hitting 24% from downtown. That one was an absolute must to maintain any kind of contact.
Well, again, how does UCLA respond? Their coach sending a message not only to the officials, but to them as well, like he's been doing all week.
And another takeaway for Gillespie.
Gosh, that's a killer when their point guard digs out an offensive rebound against you.
Smallest guy on the floor comes away with a rebound and a recycle. Shot clock down to 5, and he'll pull up here. Hello! How do you do?
Well, we just mentioned him not doing anything much. He makes a couple free throws, and now a 3 might be the knockout punch that Maryland was looking for.
Let's Monopoly go!
Tonight's game summary, sponsored by Progressive, gets slam dunk savings today. And as you look at those numbers, and particularly the points in the paint where the Terrapins have doubled up on the Bruins, they were, as we mentioned earlier, teetering, and Cronin getting thrown out of the game certainly was part of this death knell. But Gillespie just went on a 7-point and 73-second run.
I don't even want you to watch Gillespie. We know what he does. But watch what his teammate does. This is confidence. Selton Miguel's like, that's good, man. As soon as it left his hand, you love that. Your teammates know when you're 4 for 8, shot clock running down. And we had just talked about Gillespie, how he'd struggled and really hadn't been around in terms of scoring this half. And that was the knockout punch that we talked about Maryland might need. It just, they can thank Cronin for that.
It was only his first bucket from the floor in this half, but it was a true dagger. Johnson trying to stay with it. And he was out of bounds. The ball will be triggered in underneath the Bruins basket by Clark. Sky Clark's been out of sorts from the jump. He got into early foul difficulty and was just a non-factor. And what we thought we might see from Daly offensively, we didn't see either. Clark does induce a foul on the pump fake. He gets Derek Queen to go airborne. His third.
I don't know, how I feel about those. It's not a natural shot. He's literally just throwing it up with his offhand. Queen can jump and come down in front of you as long as he doesn't. I think that's got to be looked at for next season in terms of changing the rule and how they call that. It's still a subjective call. I don't agree with that being a foul when Queen's already on the ground with space between he and the shooter, Sky Clark, and Sky Clark's just jumping in sideways, throwing the ball up with his offhand. I don't agree with that call there because you're not protecting the three-point shooter, which normally you get, but I just don't like it.
Well, it turns out it's a two-shot foul because he was on the line. Tried to launch it from beyond the arc, but leaned in, and when he did, it became a two-point shot. (69-55) with 3 and change remaining. And Stefanovic with the bump.
And these are times of, and maybe not this last 3.5 minutes, but at least the last week or so for UCLA where the players have to come together. They all have to be on the same page. Every player is going through something, whether they're struggling shooting, they're not playing as many minutes as they want, whatever it might be. But as a unit, together, you have to come together. You have to either be on the plane, in the locker room, and say, guys, let's play for one another. Those are situations that happen, and I guarantee you, no coach is going to be offended by that. If you have to use your head coach as the reason of why you're becoming a closer-knit group, no coach is going to argue against that. UCLA's got to figure this thing out. And they have the talent to do it. They just have to be on the same page and to do it consistently and have a belief in themselves.
I want to make sure last year was an aberration. Turnovers have been the norm tonight. 21 total. That's a lot for a UCLA team, undeniably.
A team that they average about 11 a game.
Yep. Selton Miguel. He had the ambassador to Angola come to a home game recently, and the ambassador wanted a picture with him because of all the work his foundation had been doing. He and his brother supplying so many in his native country. Bruins struggling to get anything to go down on this end. Miguel with 11, 9 this half. That one rolls off for Bilodeau.
I will say this, Bilodeau has been the constant aggressor offensively when he's out there.
And he got a shot treatment wrist, too, from his coach for a period of time.
That hasn't come out since he's been back in the game, though. They need him on the floor. Getting that confidence, no matter what the score is.
Gillespie is the epitome of a lead guard that can score, can also run the team.
Oh, and one.
Yep. And that's what scoring guards, lead guards like to do, right? If you can't find anyone to throw it to, dig into that clock and then attack the rack.
Yeah, you just have to have balance. There's late clock. I love it. Don't pass that ball, especially when you have the skills of a Jacoby Gillespie. But there's always that balance with those scoring point guards to keep the rest of your teammates happy, especially when you have talent like this Maryland team does.
You know, they fell to Oregon in a back-and-forth affair in Eugene. I thought it was a very good game. That happened on Sunday in the very first meeting between the two teams. This new look Big Ten with the scheduling, particularly for those West Coast teams that are accustomed to playing a lot of games with just a day's rest, either Thursday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday. That's happened a lot in the past when they were in the old Pac-12. They're having to get accustomed to 2 days between games now. Both coaches talked to us about that today at the shoot-arounds. And when you play 2 road games, as UCLA did, come home for 1, then go back on the road and fly east, that is a lot. So, I mean, that is a great deal for them to get accustomed to.
It's not even just Oregon and UCLA or USC. Maryland went out and lost 2 out there to Washington and in Oregon. And those games, if they were flipped, maybe it would have been a different outcome when they played them.
Yeah.
It's just what it is. It's the life of college basketball now with these expanded conferences.
Yep.
It's what every team eventually is going to have to go through. You can't cry about it. No one feels bad for you. You got to adjust.
I do believe, though, that particularly because this is the first year of the expanded Big Ten, over time, I think they have confidence and faith that they'll take a look at it. There could be some alterations made in coming years. Well, Gillespie, even after going over for the first 15 minutes of this second half, has 11 points in the last 3.5 minutes of this game in the second. Oh, counted and a foul. Deshaun Harris-Smith.
How about Julian Reese, though?
Good find.
A great pass. He has been a leader today. 16 points, 10 rebounds, got his double-double. Really nice job leading this team back at home. And he gets a standing O, well-deserved. Just really a nice battle. Maryland showed a lot in this game. They can start off hot. They can play in the mud a little bit.
Yep.
They have the answers in terms of what they do offensively. Defensively, they set the tone defensively early in the first half. Kevin Willard's got to be proud of his guys, not just because of the win, but how they did it and how they stuck with it.
By the way, officially Daly fouled out, leaves the game with 8 points and 5 boards. Andrews can't get it to go. Perry, that'll be an and 1 as he gets to the line after that layup. Maryland's schedule, we were discussing the nature of the Big Ten, and when you go on the road in this league, it's never easy, and some of the home games can be tough to go along with it. Next up, Minnesota, Northwestern. This Collins' team that performed so admirably a year ago hasn't been playing at their best level of late, so Maryland looking to get on a little bit of a run here after dropping 3 conference games.
And good thing you got Nebraska at home. You don't want to play Nebraska in Lincoln. You don't want any part of that.
I was just there. I'm telling you, you're right about that.
26-1 or whatever they are in the last.
They've won 21 in a row.
That's incredible. At home. Yeah, Fred Hoiberg just doing a wonderful job.
By the way, couldn't be happier for him.
Yeah,
what a great guy.
I agree.
Tremendous coach. Pride of the Midwest when you think about it. Grew up in Lincoln. Palmer's on the floor. Crowd wanted him to go right to the back.
That's a nice idea. That's sportsmanship right there. You don't need to pile on. Heads up play.
Well, it's going to turn into a 79-61 laugher that was really interesting until about the last 6 minutes.
Yeah.
5 Terps with 8+ points. Gillespie leads the way with 27.